Greetings, salutations. Welcome to this prophetic insights where we analyze current events as they are fulfilling Bible prophecies. Safe to Serve International, first-time viewers, welcome one, welcome all to this prophetic insights. All right, friends, I want to say happy Sabbath to those of you who are living in areas where the sun has already set. And for those of us, for the rest of us, happy Sabbath when it officially comes. All right, friends, as you can see, we will be addressing this diabolical group that is actually implementing their diabolical policies. They create the various crises in order to implement not only their draconian policies, but their diabolical policies that are inimical to our freedoms. Yes, they trample upon our freedoms. And remember, they have told us publicly, never let a good crisis go to waste. Their mantra has been order out of chaos. They create the chaos. They create the crises. And friends, let's keep our eyes on Sri Lanka. Why? We're told over and over again what's happening in that island country, island nation, is actually a harbinger of greater things to come. Look at this, brothers and sisters. There it is. Sri Lanka could end up being just a harbinger of larger things to come around the rest of the world in the months and years ahead. And what's happening there in Sri Lanka, friends? Rising social unrest over energy, over food shortages. Yes, friends, let's continue here. Headline reads, Sri Lanka introduces fuel rationing scheme amid economic crisis. Now, I want you all to note that this is a fuel shortage scheme, all right? And they're rationing fuel. Next, we're going to see they will be rationing food. And I'm going to share with you that is a biblical sign of the last days. All right, there it is. Amid economic crisis, Sri Lanka introduces National Fuel Pass. Yes, as the Prime Minister and others have now declared a national emergency. Underscore that. Don't you forget that. National Fuel Pass. All right. We'll come back to that. All right. Sri Lanka introduces Fuel Pass to provide oil in orderly manner. Of course, they will give you a plausible excuse, their veneer under which they can hide. Oh, we want things to be done decently and orderly. There's too much chaos. Come on, friends. We know better. It says, watch carefully, Sri Lanka, Prime Minister of Power and Energy, introduced the National Fuel Pass, a fuel rationing scheme amid the raging economic crisis and shortage of fuel in the island country. And now look at what it states. Now they have a QR code will be given for each national identity card number. And because I'm going to share with you a clip that further clarifies this, I won't spend much time on this. Let me move on. And first, notice the actual person behind this diabolical policy. Yes, along with the new president of Sri Lanka. He's a member of the World Economic Forum. Headline, Sri Lanka's new president is a member of the World Economic Forum. I covered this several days ago during Prophetic Insight, where I shared clips of the residents and citizens of Sri Lanka saying, the president has to go. The leader has to go. All right, too much chaos in the country. And now, of course, here we're now seeing he went, stepped down, forced out, whatever you want to call it. And now they ushered in another leader. And who is he? Another of their team members. Change the face, the same agenda. All right, let's continue here. There it is, my friends. Sri Lanka has begun forcing citizens to use a QR code to access gas pumps. I'm going to come back to that, friends. As part of a nationwide fuel rationing scheme, the policy was introduced by Sri Lankan Prime Minister of Power and Energy at the behest of Sri Lanka's new president, who is a member and a gender contributor of the World Economic Forum. Now, friends, you don't bet, you don't gamble, but you can correctly assume whatever agenda he's now instituting and implementing, enacting there in Sri Lanka is coming from his boss, the board. Yes, those puppet masters at the WEF, World Economic Forum. Let's continue. Remember what he said. We are the ones building the future.
Let's also be clear. The future is not just happening. The future is built by us, by a powerful community as you here in this room.
All right. Here it is, friends. Notice, again, the Fuel Pass.QR system was successfully tested today. All right. Then it said it will be enforced nationwide, island-wide. All right. Let's continue. Watch carefully now. As per the fuel quota policies, Sri Lankans will have to apply with the national ID card numbers. You know what? Let me just say this right here. All right, friends, imagine this. There's a crisis in the land, and they begin to ration various items, various commodities that are essential for your livelihood, essential for your survival. And now they say, in order for you to access these essential goods, you have to go along with these policies. What's going to happen when those policies go against your liberty of conscience, your religious, biblical belief system? What's going to happen? Can you see how the mark of the beast is going to be implemented? Oh, maybe you missed it. What we are now seeing is simply the dress rehearsal, the beta testing. Let's continue. Listen.
Ministry of Power and Energy today introduced the National Fuel Pass, allowing vehicle owners to secure a guaranteed quota of fuel per week for their personal vehicles. Accordingly, one vehicle can be registered under one national identity card, passport number, or business registration number. A QR code will be allocated to each vehicle following the registration and verification of the chassis number, of the vehicle registration number, the number plate, and other details by the Motor Traffic Department. This will be the only pass that the government will allow people to purchase fuel, not only from the Ceylon Petroleum Corporation's filling stations, but also from the Lanka IOC filling stations, as well as the minister stressed.
Stop right there. Stop. Pause right there. This is the only way to access and receive fuel. He just said it. Of course, I have it on speed play. I'm not here to spend the whole evening. Sabbath is coming. I want to give you a quick update on prophecy, current events, so we can remain ready. That's what he just said. This is the only way. So in a crisis in America, wherever you live, whatever country, just bring the crisis and then stipulate one method, one way. And the people have to go along, or else they starve, or else they remain stagnant at their home, can't move. They become immobilized. Let's continue.
Thought of introducing this mechanism so that it will give a guaranteed weekly quota for every individual who owns a vehicle. The last few months we have encountered so many obstacles in procuring the fuel requirements and also distribution. From today onwards, every individual in Sri Lanka who owns a vehicle can register their vehicles on the website fuelpass.gov.lk, which will be available for you in the next few days to register. And I'm going to request you not to start registering immediate. You can register yourself in the next few days. Take some time and do the registration work. You have to enter your ID number. If you don't have a national ID number, you can use your...
Let's pause right there. Could this be a way now for them to do a census to see who is who? And all those who are hiding in the crevices, all those, let's say, don't want to be known, are now have to come out of those hiding places. Now, those words are being used not so much in a firm way, but simply to make the point. It's going to be a census. They can now know who is who. Create the crisis. No hiding place. And when I get to the UK, you'll see exactly what I mean by what I just said.
Passport number. If you don't have a national ID or a passport, you can use a business registration number that has been allocated to you. With that, you can register up to one vehicle. Only one ID card, one passport number, or one business registration will allow you to register one vehicle as your vehicle that you'll be using. And there are different categories that have been given in that, which we have taken from the Department of Motor Traffic. They have 6 categories: motorbikes, cars, three-wheelers, vans, lorries, and buses. Jeeps, SUVs, and double cabs fall into the category of cars, just like how it is categorized in the Department of Motor Traffic. And once you do the registration process, you will have to enter your number plate, the registered vehicle number, and also the chassis number. Then that is verified by the Department of Motor Traffic. After it is verified, you will receive a QR code which can be printed or which can be kept as a screenshot on your smartphone. Or if you don't have a smartphone, you can log into a website, get a printout, and keep the QR code with you. This will be the only pass that we will allow for people to purchase fuel, not just from CPC, Sipetco fuel stations, but LIOC as well. But we will announce.
Okay, in other words, show me your papers. Show me your papers. That's how easily and how quickly a free country can transform and morph into a draconian, diabolical system. Very simple. Create the crisis.
That it will commence from. But once the registration is done, it will take us about 3 or 4 days for us to determine what the quota is going to be. So each vehicle category will be given a guaranteed weekly quota. That weekly quota will not carry that for the next week. So it will be a weekly guaranteed quota. And also the number plate.
Wait. A weekly quota? That means when that allotted amount has been exhausted, that's it. Could they use this to combat climate change? Listen, you're driving too frequently. Now, you think I'm crazy? Look at me. Do you think I'm insane? Could they use the same diabolical policy to so-called combat climate change? Let's continue.
The last digit of the number plate will also come into effect with the fuel pass, both at the same time. So every individual who has a registered number plate ending with 0, 1, or 2 will have Monday and Thursday to purchase fuel from LIOC and CPC. Numbers ending with 3, 4, or 5 will have Tuesday and Friday. Numbers ending with 6, 7, 8, or 9 will have Wednesday, Saturday, and Sunday.
Hold on. You remember, friends, during the pestilence 19 crisis, in that same crisis, that they said only certain persons could shop on Monday and Wednesday, then Tuesday and do you remember that, brothers and sisters? Males could go on a certain day, but females could not. Females could shop on one day, but no males. Then they went by your last name, A to H, I, and so on. Then they went by the social security number. Brothers and sisters, it's all a plan. It's all a plan. Create the crises. Let's continue here, friends.
These will come into effect only after the registration is completed and once the ministry announces the date for it to be implemented.
All right, let me say something here, friends. This is called the rationing scheme, food rationing scheme. They mention also what is called the fuel, meaning energy, gasoline rationing scheme. Let's go to the food, and then I'll speak about the prophetic significance. Look at this, my friends. This is Iran. What is Iran doing? They also have a bread scheme, a food rationing system, digital coupons, very similar to what? A QR code. And without this QR code, these coupons, 1, you get no food, or 2, you have to spend more money to acquire the bread, acquire the food. It will also cover, they say, vegetable oil, chicken, and cheese. They just began with bread. Okay, with that in mind, I want to share with you this now. Do you remember in the Bible, my friends, when there was the fat cow, the 7 fat cows and 7 skinny cows? Do you remember money failed? The collapse of the economy in Egypt? Do you remember? The people went to the government to get bread. They were government paupers. I'm wondering, Was that also a rationing scheme? Because remember, they returned a year after and said, listen, government of Egypt, what you gave us last year has been exhausted. Now we're willing to sell our land and sell our bodies to get food. It sounds to me like there was also a rationing program going on. Or else they wouldn't have to return for a refill. Are these things making sense, brothers and sisters? And the last thing was, they had to bow down. They bowed down to the government. Let's continue. We see where these things are tending. All right, look at this, friends. Let's swing over now to the UK. Home Office to pilot contactless corridors to allow travelers to breeze through border control. It sounds so good and plausible. Look at this, my friends. It says the ETA will make it harder for those who pose a threat. Don't forget that. Entering the UK, all right? Visitors are going to be forced to submit their biographic, biometric, and contact details to be automatically checked against watch lists and criminal databases. I'm going to ask you a question. I'm wondering, are they going to begin to look at social media posts, videos on YouTube, your posts on Instagram, your posts on Facebook, your posts on your websites, and whatever thing else you have going on on the internet to see if you are worthy to enter their country? Oh, you don't believe me. Look at this, friends. Last sentence. The Home Office will also be able to bar visitors if it would not be conducive to the public good. What does that sound like, friends? You mean the common good? I digress. Look at this now, friends. It says, why is the UK about to implement this? Why? Why? Listen to this. The UK is an attractive destination partly because parts of our labor market are under-regulated, which means it is easy to work in the informal economy and therefore disappear off the radar. That means, friends, you're working off the books. All right, listen. Than in other countries where you must prove your right to work and reside. Therefore, it called for the formation of a system of digital identification for all citizens, ensuring that those who want to work and access benefits will need to be able to demonstrate they have a legal right to reside. Oh, friends, it sounds good. Plausible. But listen, in 2010, when Prime Minister Blair and Cameron were trying to implement the same scheme, it received a massive backlash from human rights activists. All right, the UK is not alone in attempting to digitize its borders, with the European Union announcing last year that as a part of its post-pandemic transition, the EU Commission would seek to introduce a block-wide digital identity app that would contain passport, driving license, credit card, and other personal information. Oh, brothers and sisters, let's hasten on. Listen to this.
Digital border that people are talking about potentially being trialled, coming in 2025. Some people might think this is great. It's all convenient. I've got my phone, off I go. Other people might think, hang on just a nanosecond. Who is collecting all this data? What are you going to be doing with it? And what are the unintended consequences of this? Where do you stand on this whole digitisation of pretty much everything, quite frankly, but specifically on this?
I think there's two concerns. I mean, digitisation, we hope, in all areas of public life, particularly the health service, can make our lives easier. But obviously there's two concerns. One is how much information we hand over, and actually I I don't make every transaction on a debit card because I don't want my bank manager to know everything about my life. You know, I still use cash quite a bit, which I know is...
You've got me wondering what you're up to now that you don't want people to know about. That plants some strange thoughts in my mind.
It's more chocolate biscuits and cake ingredients. But think about who knows the most about your life. It's your spouse, if you have one, your GP, and perhaps your bank manager, because your bank statement tells you everything you've been up to. But the other point, perhaps that wasn't meant as a joke, but joking aside.
But remember, friends, when we know about our government, that's what? That is democracy. But when the government knows everything about your life, what is that? That's called tyranny. Don't forget that. Continue.
It's about what happens when things goes wrong. And technology does work 90% of the time. I don't want to be old-fashioned about it, but technology goes wrong and you need human judgment to resolve that. And as soon as you said digitisation, which has been a great force for good in many ways, but I did have that image in my mind of the supermarket self-checkout, and when the problem and the alarm goes off in a sense of frustration, or standing behind this chap, Paddington today, as he was trying to scan his phone in place of his Oyster card to get through central London transport. And you need human beings to solve technology problems like that above and beyond the kind of Big Brother issue.
You know what? Let me pause right there. Do you remember right now what's happening also in China? When the people wanted to retrieve their money from various banks, what happened? They wanted to protest. The banks would not give them their monies, right? And what happened? The government of the Panda Nation began to actually turn the color on their QR code red. Red means you cannot travel. All they have to do, create the system out of chaos. Everybody needs this in order to travel, in order to move, in order to buy, in order to sell. If you are deemed a threat, they can simply keep you in one location by changing that color on that smartphone, that app. That's it, friends. And shut you down to kill the protests. Brothers and sisters, do you know where all these things began? Over there in the Panda Nation. There it is. The Panda Nation is using QR codes to try to control Pestilence 19. Now, protesters fear the codes are being used to monitor and track them too. That's it. What I just quoted. It's prevalent, my friends. There it is. Prevalent. Again, and the same Panda Nation is pushing for QR code-based global travel system. What is interesting is the date, 2020. What's happening now in 2022? I told you. The Panda Nation is actually the place where things are tried, tested. That's the dress rehearsal platform. No wonder. The papist stated, China is the model for the Roman Catholic common good. It's the best implementer of the Catholic Church's common good. And the Pope said, the common good has what? Become global. All right. Friends, all they have to do now is to collapse the economy and bring in the CBDC. Woe unto us. And then create more crises in nature and then say our only solution is everybody rest on Sunday, go to church on Sunday, or else suffer these consequences. Beloved, I'm telling you, as we're told in the book The Desire of Ages, page 121, those who are loyal to God will see every earthly support cut off. That's it. And all they have to do is to make everything digital. And by the flip of a switch, they can make you immobile. They can leave you penniless. They can shut you down, marginalize you, ostracize you. There it is, friends. Human laws will be made so stringent that men and women would not dare observe the seventh day Sabbath. For fear of wanting food and clothing, they will join with the world in transgressing God's laws. I have more to share, but I won't. By God's grace, I'll see you tomorrow, and we will continue this. Happy Sabbath, and let's be found faithful. Maranatha.